Hello everyone, this is continuous of the previous video. In the first video, we learned how to automate importing data from Excel sheet table to MS list. If you haven't seen that part yet, I recommend to get back and check it out. The link to the video is provided in the description of this video. In this segment, we are going to discuss how to filter the records for each employee and send their respective records by email. So let's get started. This is our flow which we have created in the previous video, so we will continue from here. This is our SharePoint list. As you see, we have many repeated email addresses. Because we are looking to send records from MS lists by email, we will need a list of unique email addresses. So we need to find a way to get the unique email addresses for each employee. For this purpose, we first need a way to collect email addresses from SharePoint list. So let's initialize an array for the email addresses. Click on New tab and search for Initialize variable. Click on Initialize variable and give it a name to your Initialize variable. I will put var emails. And from the type, I will choose array. Now we need to append email addresses to this variable array using append to array action. So click on add new tab and search for append to array and click on append to array variable action, and from the name choose the initialize variable which we have created earlier, and for the value we want the emails to be embedded to the initialize variable. So we look for email, search for email from the get items action. So click on it. As you notice, once I click on the email, the append to array variable will be embedded to apply to each action. So let me rename this to be easy recognized in the feature steps. So I will put SharePoint items for item and click outside. Now we have a list of emails in a variable. To make this list unique or consist of unique email addresses, we have to remove blanks and duplicated emails. So for this, let's add a new step and we search for compose action, and for the value we use square bracket. This is for the blank email addresses. Let's rename this action to empty array. Now it's time to remove the duplicated email addresses by adding a new action. So we add a compose again, search for compose, click compose. And for the input, we use an expression. So click on the dynamic content and then click on expression, and we write a union expression. The union expression requires at least two parameters. So the first one will be the output of the compose action empty array, and the second one will be the output for the initialize variable. So for easy, we can click outside and then click dynamic content and search for empty array and click the output from that action. As you see, it automatically write it for us. Then comma and the second collection, we get it from the var emails. Then click OK. Now let's rename this action and give it a name, remove duplicates. Now we need to get a current email from this unique email address list and then filter SharePoint items based on the current email address. So let's add a new step and click on the control and then apply to each action. For the output from the previous step, we choose the output from the remove duplicated. So we choose from the unique email list. So click on the outputs and then let's rename this action to apply to each email addresses. Inside this action, we want to filter items based on the current email addresses. So to get the current email address, let's add an action compose. Let me rename this action to current email address. For the input, we need the current item. Pay attention, the current item should be from the apply to each action itself, the apply to each email address. So scroll down below in the bottom, you will find apply to each email address action and then click on the current item. Now let's add an action to filter our items per the current email. So we search for filter array, click on filter array. In the self of the from we need to get the value from the get item. So let's scroll down and find the get item action and click the value from the get items action, and then from the choose a value we choose current item from the apply to each email address, then equal to, so the filter will be based on the email address. So let's search for the email. From the dynamic content list we look for get items and click email. So our items will be filtered based on the current email address. Now it is time to create an HTML table for our filtered data. So search for create HTML table, click on create HTML table, and for the from we get the body of the filter array because we want for each employee to get their respective items. For this, let's scroll down and look for the filter array in the dynamic content and click body. And from the advanced, for the columns we can choose automatic or custom. So let's choose automatic for now and test our flow to see what will happen. Our flow ran successfully, and as you see we have the filtered data for the current employee Siam and Rashid, and we have all the columns in the table. And if I want to see the result or the filtered item for the second or the next employee, we can go back to the previous step, and from the filter array, from the current email we can click next to see the next employee data. As you see, if I go down I can see the data belong that employee. So our flow is working as expected. Now let's add a new action to send this HTML table to each employee by email. So look for send an email version 2. From the to field we have to specify the recipient email address, and because we want to send each employee their respective items we have to use the output of the compose current email. So from the dynamic content we have to look for the compose current email and use the output of the current email. So find it and click on the outputs of the current email. For the subject you can put anything as you like, and for the body we can write a custom message. Let's write below is your attendance, and let's insert the HTML table. For this we need to insert the outputs of the create HTML table action from the dynamic content. Now let's save and run the flow to see what we will get in each emails. After the flow ran successfully, this is one of the emails which received the automate email from the flow. We have a table with items and full column names, which some of them is not required, and it is kind of confusing for the end user. To make it more friendly and nice looking, let's edit the create HTML table action and choose the required columns only. In the create HTML table action, we change the columns from automatic to custom. In the header field, we can write the column name, and in the value field, we have to write an expression to get the desired column data. And in order to write the expression, we need the actual field name. And in order to get the actual column names, let's run the flow again and find out what are the column names. After the flow runs successfully, we click on the create items action, and then we go to the show row inputs. As you see, we have the field's name and the data for one employee. If you notice, the first name is field 1, last name is field 2, and the date is field 3, and so on. So note down the fields that you want to appear in the HTML table, then go back to the create HTML action and edit again. So after I choose custom for the columns, I'll write the header name for the first column, which is first name, and for the value I'll go to the expression and write item parentheses, then question mark, and then a square bracket, and between two comma I have to write the field name, which was field 1. Then click OK and do the same for the rest of the columns. Now let's run the flow again and see what we get on the emails. After the flow runs successfully, this is the result of our flow. As you see, it is now more user-friendly and nice looking. As you see, we have only these columns that we specified in the create HTML table action. Now, as the last step, let's format this table and add some style sheet to make it more fancy. I have a website which I will put the link for it in the description of this video. In the website there are many style sheet and the way to use it. I will copy this style sheet code to my email, which will appear like this, the blue header and gray body, and then click on this icon and then make some space and paste that style sheet code, and that's it. Let's save it and run the flow again to see what we will get in the emails. After the flow runs successfully, this is the result of our flow. As you see, it has a nice format and style sheet which we applied in the last step. I hope this video was useful for everybody, and see you in my next video.